Today I want to talk about a problem that's pretty common among goats and sheep, pink eye. If you're dealing with a goat or a sheep that you suspect may have pink eye, I think I can give you some information that'll give you some hope and comfort. Come along. These three girls behind me about 4 weeks ago all came down with a severe case of pink eye. As you can see, they're fully functional now, but let me give you a walkthrough of the process. If you've not dealt with pink eye before, it can be pretty concerning, particularly in severe cases. What is pink eye? Well, a vet would call it keratoconjunctivitis. And basically what it is the inflammation of either the eyelid or the eyeball itself. It can be caused by different things. It can be caused by some foreign object getting in the eye, causing irritation and inflammation. Probably more commonly, it's caused by some bacteria that gets in the eye and causes some infection. And probably most common of all is when a microorganism such as chlamydia causes the eye to become inflamed and to swell. Now, in goats and sheep, it's not the same microorganism that causes pink eye in cattle. There's vaccines for pink eye in cattle. Those vaccines are not effective on goats and sheep. And to my knowledge, there's no vaccine available for goats and sheep, at least at the time that I'm aware of. Since it is most commonly caused by microorganisms, it is usually contagious and can be spread from animal to animal. This usually happens when they are confined in close quarters, like in feeding troughs when they're all feeding together. It can also be transferred by flies. So a fly lands on one eye and then takes the microorganism to another animal and lands on their eye. So in the springtime, many times pink eye becomes a larger problem in controlling in a herd or a flock. However, that microorganism is often already in the animal, lying dormant and waiting for an opportunity to become symptomatic. Those opportunities often present themselves when the animal is under stress. So that may be the stress from a new environment. That may be the stress of a climate change, a weather change. Many times in the early winter time, when the weather's becoming cold and there's cold rain, you'll see an outbreak of pink eye. Very often is when the animal is moved to a new environment or maybe placed in with other animals. The stress of adapting to the new environment or adapting to the new herd or flock that they've been introduced to weakens their immune system and causes an outbreak. People mistakenly think that an animal brought pink eye into their flock or herd, which is obviously possible. But more often, it's the stress of animals being introduced to each other and getting used to each other that weakens their immune systems and causes outbreaks of not only pink eye, but many other health problems as well. So probably the first symptoms that you're going to notice are maybe tears, watery eyes, maybe squinting, particularly if the sun's out, you'll notice them squinting a lot. If you were to take the eyelid and pull it back so that you could see the white of the eye, it would probably be bloodshot, irritated looking, maybe even have kind of a dullish gray look to it rather than bright white. You may notice those tears turning to kind of a green yellowy pus discharge coming from the eye, and it may start to cause the hair around the eye to fall out. If the inflammation is bad enough, then the cornea will start to separate from the eye just a little bit and it'll have a milky, cloudy look to it, and vision will start to be impaired for them. This can happen in just one eye or it can happen in both. If it happens in both and it's severe enough that they go blind, you'll notice maybe an animal walking around with its head real high with kind of a high gait, being very cautious. You may see it separated from the herd or flock, crying out to try to find the herd or flock, or maybe bumping into things, running into fences. In very severe cases, both eyes will become completely white and may even ulcerate. You can often tell that the animal is uncomfortable. It may lose its appetite. It may find a corner of the barn and just stand in the corner of the barn, maybe with its head in the corner, and you can tell that it does not feel well. So what can you do to treat pink eye? Well, listen, I'm not a vet, nor do I pretend to be a vet on YouTube. I have no formal veterinarian experience, and so take that into consideration when listening to what I have to say. All that I have is my experience from treating my animals under the conditions that I have. If you suspect that the pink eye is caused by some foreign object or irritant in the eye, some debris or something like that, then there are different pink eye sprays that are useful in flushing out the eye and also soothing the eye to some degree. However, if it's caused by a microorganism, that's not really going to solve the problem. If the cause is bacterial, then antibiotics can be helpful, and they make different ointments that have antibiotic properties in them. Also, you can take oxytetracycline, which is a very common broad-spectrum antibiotic. The brand name probably best known is LA200. And you can take a few drops of that and just drop it directly into the eye. If it is a bacterial problem in the eye itself, that will help. However, in my experience, if it is chlamydia or some other microorganism that is causing it, it usually just has to run its course. I've heard about a lot of different remedies and cures and treatments for pink eye, and I've tried a lot of different ones. Most of the time, it just has to run its course. That being said, if you have a treatment that has been effective for you and you think works well, please leave it in the comments below. That'll help us all out. So if you think you've got a goat or a sheep that is developing pink eye, what can you expect? Well, I would say this: in the large majority of animals, it may never develop anything more than just watery, squinty, irritated eyes for a few days. It can spread to other animals. In my experience, it's usually a small percentage of the flock or herd that will end up being affected with it. It is usually worse in goats than it is in sheep, both in being transmitted, both being spread, and also the severity of its symptoms. If you do have an animal that goes completely blind, it's best to isolate that animal, put it in a smaller, confined area where it can easily get used to its environment and also find food and water. Probably one of the most dangerous things with pink eye, particularly in the summertime, is an animal that can't find water. For that reason, it's important to have them in some area where they can easily find water, that they have shelter, that they have food, also that they can get out of the sun and have shade. The sunlight is very uncomfortable to them because their eyes are so sensitive. Don't expect a lot of progress for the first couple of weeks in severe cases. You'll probably think that the animal will never see again and may not even survive. Usually by the end of the second week, you'll notice that their appetite is returning, that they're a little bit more active. By the third week, you may be able to look at the eye and see that the eye is starting to get some color back in it. It's starting to clear up. Vision may be returning. By the third week, generally they're able to see well enough to get around again. And then week 4 or 5, usually the eyes will clear up completely. As you can see in the goat here that had the most severe case of it, actually had ulcerated eyes, we're on week 4 right now. And if you look at one eye, you can see that it is pretty much completely cleared up. If you look at the other eye, you can see that it's still cloudy, at least in the center, but she is able to see out of it. She's active again. She's getting around. She's going to be fine. And I give her another week and it'll clear up. You do notice that there's still some drainage, some crusty stuff around her eyes, and you notice the hair loss around the eye, and that hair has fallen out because of the drainage before. That hair will grow back. Pink eye is very aggravating, and it can cause weight loss in animals. They're probably going to be down for 3 to 4 weeks with it before they fully recover. However, rarely is it ever life-threatening. Unless they cannot find water or food, or unless they wander off a cliff or something when they're blind, they will almost certainly survive. 95% of the time, they'll make a full recovery. Even if they have a little white spot in their eye, usually that'll go away within 4 to 6 weeks. So when you have to deal with pink eye with goats or sheep, hopefully this will be a little comforting to you. If you found the information in this video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications for more content like this. If you're within driving distance of Northwest Alabama and you're looking for goats and sheep, whether it's a starter herd or flock or more additional breeding stock, give me a call, see what I have available at the time. Appreciate you watching the video, and as always, happy farming.